So welcome back guys to another video, and today I get to talk about a game that's been a long time coming on my channel that I've been wanting to talk about this for quite some time, and it's probably one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games, and that is Resident Evil 2. I just really wanted to do that. But yeah, I have actually a funny story about my copy of Resident Evil 2. This is actually not my copy. I've had this copy for well over 10 years. Actually, holy shit, it's been like 17 years I've had this copy of Resident Evil 2, and let me tell you some of the backstory to this real quick. I can't believe I'm talking about it, but I borrowed this copy from a friend of mine back in middle school named CJ. So CJ, if you're watching right now, I have your copy of Resident Evil 2, but he borrowed my copy of Pandemonium, I borrowed his copy of Resident Evil 2, and he unexpectedly moved before we could trade back. So I've had the game ever since, and man, I'm telling you, this is such a great game. Holy shit. I have a very special place in my heart for Resident Evil anyway, because Resident Evil Director's Cut was the first PlayStation game I ever bought. When I got my PlayStation, it came bundled with Madden 99, and coincidentally, it was still very brand new, so when I went to take it to Babbage's, I got some decent trading credit, and I was able to get Resident Evil Director's Cut and WCW versus the World, and I think that was a better choice. But, you know, when you watch a movie that you really enjoy, or listen to a band for the first time, you listen to like their first album, you're always anticipating the next step, like the sequel, like what's going to happen next, and you really want it to live up to the expectations of its predecessor. And Resident Evil 2 definitely did that. I mean, I loved Resident Evil 1, don't get me wrong, but Resident Evil 2 had a certain atmospheric environment and just feeling that I had never experienced before. I mean, when I played Resident Evil 1 and I played as the STARS unit, I knew they were already badass to begin with. I mean, you had Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield. I mean, it was a really shitty situation that they were stuck in a mansion, but you knew that they were like in some special forces and they can get away with it, and somehow they can be okay. They have the training for it. Where Resident Evil 2, you were playing as two new characters, Claire Redfield, who was just looking for Chris, her brother from the first game, and Leon Kennedy, who unfortunately had the worst luck ever. Not only did he have like a really weird Leonardo DiCaprio bowl cut, but it was also his first day on the force of being a police officer, and talk about a terrible Monday. I mean, worst luck ever. But these guys were so green, and they were such rookies that it made me connect with them more, because honestly, if there was like a zombie apocalypse, I wouldn't know what to do, and I would be in their shoes. So I kind of felt that when I played this game, and something about running in the streets and seeing all these hordes of zombies going after you, and you really don't feel like you have a place to hide, is really what made the game what it is. And man, I remember when I first ran into the Lickers, and you run into the Lickers very early in the game. It's not like the Hunters in Resident Evil 1, but I couldn't believe it. I was running into like these big monsters in the beginning of the game. I was just starting to get used to getting away from the zombies, and now the Lickers started coming out of nowhere, and that was a lot of fun. And Resident Evil 2 had so much replay value to it. You had two discs. Of course, one was for Leon, one was for Claire, but once you beat those, you actually could unlock a second scenario, which would unlock more parts to this story and little parts that you didn't notice to begin with. And I know a lot of people talk about Nemesis from Resident Evil 3 being so scary and so badass, and I will agree with that, but Resident Evil 2 had Mr. X, and Mr. X was like, if Nemesis was like Freddy Krueger, you knew he was coming. He always, you know, was like stars, and you knew he was going to come out of nowhere. But Mr. X was like Michael Myers. He was like the Shape. He just came out of nowhere. The music didn't change. You were just going down a hallway, and he just come out of nowhere and start trying to kill you. It was so freaking anxious, and anxiety was just blooming inside my mind, and I was just so scared. It was crazy. But with that being said, I just cannot get enough of Resident Evil 2. And, you know, like many fans, I've always wanted a remake of Resident Evil 2, especially after playing Resident Evil 4. I mean, Resident Evil 4 had that new formula that really revolutionized Resident Evil. It was a brand new combat system, and I know I wasn't the first one that when I was playing Resident Evil 4, I was like, man, it'd be so nice if, you know, they made Resident Evil 2 like this, because we already had a Resident Evil remake on the GameCube, which was phenomenal, but this was something that we really wanted. And it wasn't until recently that there was a team that got together, and they're using the Unreal 4 engine, and they're making their own Resident Evil 2 remake. And the best thing about this is it's going to be free, so all I can say is once this fan-made game is available, download it as quickly as possible, because I can already sense Capcom is going to have a cease and desist and really try to stop people from enjoying this game. But at the same time, Capcom not too long ago, you know, after seeing this remake, was kind of like, would you guys like to have a Resident Evil 2 remake? What are you guys' thoughts about that? I mean, it's bad that it took another group of people to wake Capcom up and realize, oh shit, yeah, we gotta come up with this game. People want this. We could be making money on it. So a really cool thing that could happen with that is, I would love it is if Capcom would get with those developers and maybe work some sort of partnership, and maybe they can publish the game, and maybe we can get like a digital or physical copy. And who knows, maybe we could have like a collections little box set of like Resident Evil 1 remade in HD, the GameCube version, and like this brand new Resident Evil 2. That would just be so awesome. They could like call it like the Welcome Home box set or something. I would just love that. That'd be so awesome. But anyway, guys, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Resident Evil 2 and some of my favorite moments of Resident Evil. I love the giant alligators and the dogs, the lickers, William Birkin coming out of nowhere, Mr. X making his appearance. It was just the introduction of Ada Wong. I mean, my gosh, man, such a great game. And what I want you guys to do is that I want you guys to leave a comment below. Tell me some of your favorite Resident Evil 2 experiences. Tell me some of your favorite moments in the game, and why do you love Resident Evil 2? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment sections below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and as always, happy gaming.